In the heart of New Mexico in 1875, nestled amidst the rugged mountains and sprawling desert, lived a spirited young girl named Isabella Quintana. The air was filled with the scent of sagebrush, and the sun painted the skies in vibrant hues at dawn. Isabella was the daughter of a mission preacher, a man devoted to his faith and determined to guide his flock towards salvation. However, Isabella's dreams stretched beyond the walls of the mission that shadowed her childhood. With long, dark hair that flowed like a river down her back and eyes that sparkled with curiosity, Isabella possessed a spirit that could not be tamed. While her father preached the teachings of love and sacrifice, Isabella yearned for adventure and exploration. She often wandered the outskirts of the mission, allowing her imagination to roam free. She dreamed of far-off lands, of lush forests and gentle rivers, where the sun would always shine. Yet, she was grounded by her responsibilities. Delivering food to the nearby Apache reservation was one such duty that often took her beyond her father's watchful gaze. On one fateful delivery, as she approached the reservation, Isabella encountered Kola, a handsome Apache youth with a smile that lit up the shadows around him. He was unlike anyone she had ever met. His laughter danced like music through the air. That first meeting sparked something deep within her, a connection that transcended their differences. Kola was proud and brave, embodying the spirit of his people. He spoke of traditions and stories of old, sharing tales of courage and resilience. As their friendship blossomed into something deeper, secret meetings became a cherished part of Isabella's life. They would steal away into the hills, where they felt free from judgment and societal expectations. In those moments, they shared their dreams under the vast sky. Kola spoke passionately about his people's connection to the land, while Isabella revealed her hopes for a life full of meaning and love. Together, they crafted a world where their hearts could be free. However, in a society where boundaries were rigidly defined by race and religion, their growing affection could not remain hidden forever. Isabella's father soon discovered their secret when he caught sight of them laughing together in a glade one afternoon. His heart sank with disappointment and anger. To him, Kola represented everything he feared: rebellion against tradition and a challenge to his authority. In a fit of rage, Isabella's father confined her within the mission's cold stone walls, declaring her spiritually ill. The punishment felt like a prison sentence for Isabella. She was trapped in a world without color or light. The walls echoed with silence while her heart ached for freedom and Kola's warmth. Each day felt like an eternity as she gazed out of her small window, longing for the embrace of the earth beneath her feet and the feel of the wind in her hair. Months passed in this way, filled with despair and isolation. The once vibrant girl became a shadow of herself, consumed by sorrow for Kola and their lost moments together. She clung to memories like fragile threads, each one a reminder of what had been stolen from her. Whispers from other girls who visited the mission only deepened her sadness as they spoke of love and dreams that seemed out of reach. Then came dreadful news that shattered what little hope remained in Isabella's heart. Kola was presumed dead following a raid on his village. The report spread like wildfire through the mission community, another casualty in a long history of conflict between settlers and Native Americans. The world around her dimmed further as she mourned not just for Kola, but for the future they would never share. Isabella's father decided it was time to send her away to a convent in the East, believing it would purify her spirit and bring her back into alignment with his beliefs. The thought terrified her. She couldn't imagine being stripped away from everything she knew, everything she loved. On the morning set for her departure, despair hung heavy in the air like an impending storm. As she prepared to leave behind her home forever, she stood at the edge of the mission grounds, taking in every detail: the fluttering curtains in the windows, the distant mountains under which she had laughed with Kola. Just then, something caught her eye on the horizon. A cloud of dust rose against the blue sky as figures emerged, dozens of painted warriors riding fiercely on horseback. Her heart raced as she squinted to see more clearly. Among them was Kola, alive and proud, his presence commanding yet gentle at once. A wave of emotion washed over Isabella as hope ignited within her once more. He rode forth, demanding her freedom, not through violence or war but through sheer determination and love. The moment hung suspended in time as anticipation filled the air around them. What lay ahead was not merely a battle, but a reckoning, a chance for understanding amidst chaos. In that instant, all thoughts of leaving vanished like morning mist before the sun. Isabella knew that this was just the beginning of their story, one that would change not only their lives but also challenge everything they had known about love and acceptance in their divided world. As Isabella made her way to the Apache reservation, her heart danced with anticipation. The sun cast a brilliant golden hue over the landscape, and the scent of sagebrush filled the air. This day felt different. There was a whisper of adventure as she approached the vibrant community where she often delivered food. The sounds of laughter and excitement echoed around her, mingling with the chatter of children at play. When she reached the reservation, its lively atmosphere enveloped her. Children raced around, their faces painted with joy, while adults went about their daily tasks, often exchanging warm smiles. Each time Isabella came here, she felt a growing sense of belonging. It was a place where walls felt less confining and spirits seemed to soar higher. But today promised an even bigger surprise. As her eyes scanned the scene, they landed on Kola, a striking figure who stood out among his peers. There was an effortless grace in the way he moved, his long black hair catching the light as he turned to greet her. His smile was infectious, radiating warmth and mischief that instantly put Isabella at ease. "Isabella," he called out, drawing closer. "You're back. What goodies do you bring today?" She couldn't help but smile as she held up her basket filled with bread and fruits. "Just a little something for everyone," she replied, her voice tinged with excitement. Kola stepped closer, his expression shifting to one of curiosity and admiration as he peered into her basket. "You don't have to bring offerings to us," he said softly, "but I'm glad you did." In that moment, time seemed to slow down as they locked eyes, creating a bond that felt unbreakable yet fleeting. It was a connection that transcended language and cultural differences. An unspoken understanding blossomed between them, as if they had been friends for years instead of mere strangers. "How have you been?" Isabella asked, her voice barely above a whisper as if it were a secret meant solely for him. "I've been well," Kola replied, "but busy with the hunting parties. We prepare for winter." He paused before adding with a hint of playfulness in his tone, "and hoping you would return soon." They walked together along a dusty path lined with wildflowers swaying in the breeze. As they strolled side by side, Kola began to share stories about his people, their deep connection to nature, and their traditions rooted in honor and courage. His words painted vivid pictures in Isabella's mind. She saw the faces of brave warriors and felt the strength of their ancestors resonating through him. Isabella found herself hanging on to every word he spoke. She admired how he closed his eyes occasionally when recalling tales, allowing himself to feel each memory fully before sharing it with her. It was this passion that ignited something inside her, an invitation to look beyond her sheltered life at the mission. But soon after sharing joyful tales of hunt and harvest came the weight of responsibility. Kola's eyes turned serious as he discussed the challenges his people faced under the scrutiny of outsiders and their narrow views. Every word dripped with a sense of urgency. He spoke about resistance against encroaching settlers who viewed them only through fear or misunderstanding. "We are not just stories told from afar," he insisted earnestly, glancing at Isabella to ensure she grasped this truth that often fell on deaf ears elsewhere. "We are alive here. They cannot erase our existence." Isabella nodded slowly. She had always felt confined by expectations within the walls of her father's mission, but never understood what true confinement meant until now. Seeing it woven into Kola's very being sparked recognition deep within her soul. "Your people sound extraordinary," Isabella replied softly yet firmly. "I wish others could see what I see right now." Kola turned toward her, his gaze steady and penetrating like sunlight filtering through leaves. "It is up to us to share those stories," he said thoughtfully, "to bridge divides that keep us apart." Their instant connection blossomed further despite knowing how dangerously close such companionship might tread, almost spinning dangerously past boundaries marked out for them both long ago by society's hand. But neither could deny something played out beyond mere familiarity. In this little enclave along nature's bounty away from prying eyes wanting inner secrets held closely guarded tight between painted lips pressed gently near floral blooms hidden sweetly awaiting fresh beginnings ushering forth life seemingly simple. From where spirits dared run free, unencumbered, anchored firmly loose upon winds fatefully carried onward unnoticed. Yet neither wished for moments together lost under shadows looming overhead tantalizing somehow more electric-laden thick, heavy banquets graciously granting bliss across horizons stirring souls deeply alike but worlds apart winding tales absent vibrant. Understanding stretched across distances yearning quietly beckoning steadfast bringing forth unseen forces evermore destined just as twilight approached, delicately tracing its fingers over mountains, silhouetting above, softening edges, brightening ever so slightly, shrinking deeper shadows, meanwhile casting familiar hangs, shadowed destiny, faded calling, sparking dreams, tenderly aligning. Luminous pathways carving contours through endless stories, waiting gently unfolded, imprints eternally woven, thus soon heartbeat finds rhythm, reverberating timelessly, grand narratives paving brighter routes, four-pouring histories crafted. Courageously blessed, born forth between them, writing, beautifully defining motions, breaking chains, clasped tightly worn, forever binding, pressing towards fates destined, eternally crafted, enduring peace, nested securely, embraced reflection, shared lovingly. In the weeks following their first meeting, Isabella and Kola found themselves drawn together repeatedly in secret, their hearts racing with excitement and fear alike. Each encounter was like a stolen moment from a dream, a precious bubble where only they existed, unbound by the judgments of the world outside. As twilight fell over the New Mexico landscape, they would meet behind the cascading willows by the stream where they first shared stories. Underneath the sprawling night sky, they spoke of their hopes and dreams. Isabella felt emboldened by Kola's spirit. His passion fueled her desires beyond what she had ever dared to imagine. "What do you wish for?" he asked one evening, his eyes reflecting the stars above them. "I wish to be free," Isabella confessed earnestly, her voice trembling with vulnerability. Free to explore, to learn about the world outside the mission walls. Her heart ached as she admitted this longing, aware that it might never come true under her father's strict rule. Kola nodded solemnly, understanding all too well what it meant to feel trapped. "I share your dream. Freedom is a sacred thing for my people. We are often looked down upon, misunderstood, but we fight for our place here." His words stirred something deep within Isabella, an awakening that broke apart the confines of her sheltered life. As the days turned into weeks, their gatherings became infused with joyous laughter and heartfelt discussions of ambition and love. They would lay on grassy hillsides enveloped by wildflowers, letting the sun wash over them as they shared stories of their childhoods. Isabella recounted her adventures sneaking out of the mission to explore nearby canyons, while Kola spoke of his early lessons from elders about hunting and fishing, lessons shrouded in tradition and respect for nature. Their differences only deepened their connection. Each culture held treasures that intrigued the other. Kola described nighttime dances celebrating seasons, moments rich in color and life that Isabella could scarcely visualize but longed to see. In turn, he listened intently to her tales of quiet contemplation by candlelight while studying scripture, a world that felt distant yet somehow familiar as she painted pictures with her words. But with every secret meeting came an ever-looming danger. Their relationship was not a mere dalliance. It was an act of defiance against everything they had been taught to believe about one another's worlds. Each whispered promise felt like a challenge against expectation. The thrill surged through them when a new moon cloaked the night in darkness, a cloak that allowed them to remain hidden from prying eyes. Isabella would often look around nervously, the shadows playing tricks on her mind as she feared discovery. "What if someone sees us?" she would ask Kola, biting her lip as worry creased her brow. "Then we run," he would say with youthful bravado, his laughter ringing out like music among the trees. "We'd outrun any fear together." It was this bold spirit that drew Isabella in further. He made her feel liberated, igniting something within her that had long been buried beneath layers of obligation and duty. Kola reminded her how important it was to fight for dreams, even while facing challenges that seemed insurmountable. Yet even amid their joy came reminders of reality. News spread quickly through both communities about tensions between settlers and Apache tribes simmering underfoot, like an unseen threat waiting to erupt. Their conversations shifted accordingly. Grounded discussions turned grave as Kola voiced concerns regarding raids and conflicts, when settlers grew too bold in their endeavors, encroaching upon farmlands, claiming hunting grounds scarce left untouched, revealing frail balance, precariously upheld, nervously lying naturally. "I want you to be safe," Kola said earnestly one night, as they sat huddled close beneath a blanket woven with intricate designs symbolizing unity. "This world can turn cruel. I fear for what may happen if others discover us." Isabella reached out, instinctively grasping his hand tightly within her, savoring warmth. A touch brimming alive, pulsing energy, stirring souls racing forth, filled promises nurtured, forging deeper bonds envisioned. "Whatever happens," she responded vehemently, "I won't let go of what we have. You are my freedom." Each word hung between them like a vow sealed in time. A determination established amid uncertainty, fostering warmth, igniting plain hopes shared thick amongst tender breaths, rising forthrightly beside swirling potential despite dangers inevitably awaiting, unfurling, ever near, looming, threateningly, unfalteringly pulling hearts deeper into realms unexplored, tirelessly forging paths where none existed previously. The connection they crafted together became their refuge. A sanctuary adorned brightly with possibility, waiting patiently, plucked forth destined tasks, awaiting harmony, breathing understanding, graciously danced, lovingly illuminating endless vivid journeys, unbridled, strong, driven, consciously magnifying stories. Untold, hovering silently, beckoning across all lands, stitched purposefully, finding vibrant courage, shining brightly, carved intimately, restless, leading dreams, intricately woven, indelible. Forever wrapped, seamlessly shimmering eternally amongst radiant skies, binding pathways, elucidating purpose, fulfilling destinies, deeply awaited, reaching towards timeless horizons, burning eternally bright, cherished anew. The days passed slowly for Isabella after her last meeting with Kola. Each moment spent in the confines of the mission felt like a lifetime. She was consumed by thoughts of him and the warmth they shared, but dread loomed over her heart like a dark cloud. It was only a matter of time before her father discovered their secret, and she could feel the tension building around the house like a coiled spring. One evening, while sitting at the dinner table, Isabella noticed her father's brows knitted tightly together and his lips pressed into a thin line. He had been unusually quiet since she returned from her last visit to the reservation, but now his silence felt like a brewing storm. The atmosphere was thick with unspoken words, and she felt every heartbeat echoing in her ears. "Isabella," he finally said, his voice low and steady, "I need to speak with you after dinner." Her stomach twisted as panic gripped her. She knew he suspected something. Perhaps he had seen her slipping out one too many times. After dinner, as the last rays of sunlight faded beyond the horizon, Isabella braced herself for what was to come. "Come here," he commanded as she entered his study. The room smelled of old leather and musty books, a stark contrast to the vibrant world she had come to know outside those walls. "I have been hearing troubling things." "What do you mean?" Isabella asked cautiously, trying to keep her voice steady. "Don't play innocent with me. I know you've been sneaking away to meet that Apache boy." His voice rose, filling the small room with fury. Isabella's heart sank. "Father, please listen. I won't hear any excuses," he interrupted sharply. "You are crossing boundaries that should never be crossed. That boy is not worthy of your affection. He is a savage." "Father, Kola is not a savage. He's kind and brave. He cares about his people." The words tumbled out before Isabella could contain them. Her father's face turned red with anger. "That is enough. You have been led astray by his deceitful charm. You are spiritually ill for even entertaining such thoughts." In that moment of rage, he lunged towards her, gripping her arm tightly. She gasped at the sudden pain but felt an equally fierce determination rise within her. "You cannot keep me locked away like this," she cried out defiantly. "I will do whatever it takes to protect my daughter from making a grave mistake," he retorted firmly as he dragged her toward the back of the mission, the very chamber meant for punishment and isolation. "No, please don't do this," Isabella pleaded, struggling against his hold. But it was futile. His grip only tightened as they reached the darkened room filled with shadows that seemed to close in around her. With a sudden shove, he pushed her inside and slammed the door shut behind him. The sound echoed through the chamber, leaving Isabella in utter darkness except for a sliver of light peeking through a small barred window high above. She sank to the floor, tears streaming down her cheeks as despair washed over her. Days bled into one another as she languished in confinement. The isolation was unbearable, each hour stretched into eternity, filled with thoughts of Kola and their stolen moments together. She replayed their conversations over and over in her mind, their laughter under starlit skies, dreams shared beneath rolling hills colored by wildflowers. Now those memories felt like cruel reminders of what had been taken from her. But even amid despair came fleeting whispers of hope. She often envisioned Kola outside waiting for her return, a vision that kept despair at bay even when reality threatened to consume her entirely. On the morning of what felt like yet another hopeless day, Isabella heard footsteps approaching outside her cell. Her heart leaped into her throat as she strained to listen through the heavy door. "Isabella." Her father's voice cut through the silence once more. "It's time we spoke again." She braced herself for another lecture filled with disappointment and disdain, but was met instead with an unexpected announcement that sent shockwaves through her core. "We are sending you away to a convent," he said coldly. "You will be shipped east tomorrow morning to restore your spirit." "No, you can't do this." Isabella protested vehemently as she rushed toward the door, but it remained firmly shut against her desperate attempts. "I will not let you ruin our family's name any longer," he replied sternly without remorse. In that moment, all hope seemed lost. The thought of being separated from Kola forever sent waves of anguish crashing over her heart. As darkness settled in once more, she lay on the cold stone floor feeling utterly defeated, until suddenly sounds began filtering through the air outside. There were shouts and drums resonating and rhythms pulsing steadily closer. She could hear voices rising in excitement mixed with fervor swelling beyond barriers constraining fate itself. Isabella dashed toward the barred window just as the first rays of dawn broke across the horizon, illuminating silhouettes of painted warriors riding fiercely on horseback gathering below. The familiar figure among them sending adrenaline surging wildly through every part of her being. "Kola!" she cried out breathlessly upon spotting him leading them forward, proudly demanding freedom against all odds. As their eyes locked across distances, framing longing, fiercely igniting flames burning brightly alive anew. Her heart soared beyond reason, sparking hope within, illuminating futures awaiting, beckoning vibrant pathways breaking forth, paving ways leading towards understanding, reaching far deeper. Kola rode valiantly forward, demanding answers, igniting pathways leading ever onward, triumphantly reclaiming love boldly forged, ignited fiercely, transforming destinies, weaving beautiful legacies spun amidst struggles faced, onward forging paths long awaited. Coaxing fears relinquished, holding fast to promises made bright, shimmering alive, forevermore entwined hearts destined unite, unwavering, standing strong against all odds, rising together, transcending barriers, standing resolute, reclaiming paths. Carved beautifully together, loving fiercely, embracing journeys ahead, awaiting tales told, united, love soaring free, eternally cherished anew. Days blurred into weeks as Isabella languished in her dark confinement, the world outside feeling increasingly distant and unattainable. The walls of the mission had become her prison, echoing with her despair, amplifying her loneliness. Each minute spent locked away underscored the emotional turmoil churning within her, a whirlwind of love, fear, and longing that seemed impossible to contain. She often found herself curled on the cold stone floor, pressed against the door where sunlight filtered in through the small barred window above. With each ray that reached her, she closed her eyes, envisioning Kola's face, the way he smiled at her with a warmth that melted away all worries. Memories of their stolen moments together flooded her mind, their laughter mingling with the gentle rustle of leaves, the soft glow of moonlight casting magical shadows around them as they shared dreams of a brighter future. But amidst those cherished recollections came crashing waves of sorrow. What if she never saw him again? The thought pierced her heart like a dagger, leaving her breathless with fear. As days turned into a blur of isolation, Isabella grappled with the reality that her father's influence was tightening around her like a noose. The weight of his authority loomed heavily over her, casting long shadows on every flicker of hope she dared to nurture. "Why can't he understand?" she whispered to herself one afternoon, tears slipping down her cheeks. "Why can't he see how beautiful love can be?" But those questions hung unanswered in the air around her, echoes of a longing for freedom that seemed increasingly out of reach. When her father visited to deliver what little news there was from the outside world, he always wore a mask of stern resolve. "You are being punished for your actions," he would state firmly, crossing his arms as if to reinforce his point. "Your spirit must be cleansed." Each time he said this, it felt like he was tearing apart a piece of her soul, driving home the divide between them. "Cleansed? But I am not ill. I love him," Isabella would protest, desperation rising within her. "Love does not bind you to a savage," he insisted, dismissing her feelings with contempt. "You need to forget him and understand your place." In those moments, anger sparked within Isabella, fury at being treated like a child rather than an individual capable of making her own choices. She was filled to the brim with determination, if only she could escape this confinement and find Kola again. Yet despair clouded every thought as the reality sank in that perhaps she might never get the chance to do so. As night fell over the mission, darkness wrapped around her like a suffocating blanket. She lay awake listening to the sounds outside, whispers in the wind that seemed to carry Kola's name in their soft lilt. Each rustle of leaves or distant drumbeat ignited a flicker of hope within her chest. What if he were out there waiting for her? What if he had come to save her? Yet each time hope stirred within, it was swiftly followed by fear that clutched at her heart, fear that their love might be lost forever. With every passing day in confinement came more reminders of Kola's absence. his laughter that danced through her memory and his gentle touch that felt like a dream slipping from her grasp. The idea of being sent away to a convent filled Isabella with dread. She had heard tales from others who left the mission, stories about lives dictated by rigid rules and expectations far removed from everything she desired. The thought of never seeing Kola again threatened to shatter her spirit completely. "I can't let them do this," she whispered fiercely one night, clenching her fists in determination. "I won't give up on him." Her resolve burned bright within her. It became a shield against despair even when shadows threatened to swallow her whole. One morning, as dawn broke across the sky, a new day began filled with possibility. Isabella detected something different in the air. Sounds filtered through to her cell. Muffled voices and an unusual energy stirring outside stirred curiosity deep inside once more. She rushed to the barred window, desperately seeking answers as hope flickered anew, lighting up spaces once darkened by despair. And then she heard it, the unmistakable rhythm of drums beating steadily closer, blending harmoniously with shouts rising high into the air, echoing vibrant life, resounding forth unrestrained, warming hearts, coaxing life alive, illuminating paths long awaited. Isabella pressed against the bars, straining to catch glimpses beyond walls holding tight. Panic and excitement intertwined as silhouettes began forming beneath gilded light, framing figures adorned, boldly colored, catching fire amongst clans gathering ready to reclaim joy at last. And suddenly there he was, Kola cutting through distance, gallantly leading them forward, fiercely demanding freedom against all odds. Her heart soared wildly upon spotting him among painted warriors, fiercely riding ahead, commanding presence, igniting visions once believed lost, beckoning brightly woven destinies unfurling beautifully before awaiting hearts pulsing alive, thriving. Her voice erupted from deep within. She called out his name as if released from chains binding tightly, spiraling unbroken toward paths once paved, waiting courageously, braving fears now renewed, rising high, flourishing ever forward, promising futures bright, beckoning destinies cherished alive, forever hopeful, guiding toward eternal love, rejoicing against all adversity, breathing life boldly, unyieldingly, embracing passionately woven threads connecting souls destined to unite, unwavering, overcome. Challenges awaiting, triumphantly awaiting, journeys onward together, soaring free, illuminating horizons, inviting endless possibilities, blooming vibrantly bright. Isabella had barely begun to grasp the reality of her emotions after Kola had come to her rescue when tragedy struck like a thunderclap from a clear sky. It started with hushed conversations and worried glances among the mission's inhabitants. The atmosphere thickened with unease, twisting Bella's stomach into knots, and her heart raced as she listened, desperate to uncover what was happening outside her confined world. Then came the news, stark and cold as iron. There had been a raid near Kola's village. Isabella's breath caught in her throat, and panic surged within her as whispers transformed into shouts of grief. "Many have fallen," she heard a woman say breathlessly. "Kola is presumed dead." The words echoed in her mind like a mournful drumbeat, drowning out everything else. Isabella staggered back against the wall of her cell, feeling as though the very foundations upon which she stood were crumbling beneath her. The warmth she had felt just days before was replaced by an icy chill that gripped her heart. "No, not Kola," she gasped, clutching her chest as if trying to hold together the pieces of her shattered spirit. The thought of losing him, a boy who had brought so much light and joy into her life, was unbearable. How could fate be so cruel? It felt as though hope itself had been wrested away from her, leaving behind only darkness. Isabella sank to the cold stone floor, tears streaming down her cheeks as grief took hold of her soul. Memories rushed through her like waves, Kola's laughter under the stars, their dreams shared beneath wide-open skies, each recollection cut deep with pain now that he was gone. She curled up tightly, feeling utterly alone in a world that suddenly felt vast and empty. Days dragged by in a blur of sorrow. Every tick of the clock was a reminder that Kola was out there somewhere, lost to her forever. Her father's shadow loomed larger than ever during this time. He took on an oppressive authority that smothered any flicker of rebellion or hope within Isabella's heart. "Your spirit must be cleansed," he would say coldly each time he visited to check on his spiritually ill daughter, reinforcing the idea that she was to blame for everything wrong in their lives. The notion that love could cause such suffering enraged Isabella further. It gnawed at the threads of who she believed herself to be. Preparing for life at the convent became an exercise in futility. Each plan made felt like nails hammering in a coffin for all she held dear. The confinement exposed not only physical captivity but emotional isolation too. She dreaded the thought of being shipped away from everything, the vibrant life she had known and loved, including Kola's spirit wrapped securely within those treasured memories. One evening, while staring out at the moonlight filtering through barred windows, the silver rays illuminating dust motes dancing silently, Isabella found herself wondering what life would be like without Kola's laughter to guide her dreams or his steady presence grounding comfort when shadows grew long around them. "I refuse to accept it," she whispered fiercely into the night air. Determination bubbled up anew, as strong as ever beneath layers of despair, trying desperately, wrapping around faith, unyielding, resting deeply within aching heart, daring illuminated pathways beckoning beyond even darker realms, waiting faithfully, promising futures, filled vibrantly alive. But then another thought pierced through. What if he truly was gone? Would she ever find someone who understood? Who could soothe this yearning inside? A longing stirred deep, welcoming love, unseen yet quietly palpable, inviting connection, once forged brightly, blossoming effortlessly, entwined, sculpting destiny, carved beautifully, blending light, illuminating darkest corners, beckoning town toward everlasting fulfillment, soaring brilliantly, achieving jubilant together. Time passed slowly when suddenly one morning dawned brighter than many others. A strange energy hummed alive through every corner, thrilling breathlessly, filling Isabella with anticipation, surprising, erupting, bold passion coursing swiftly, beckoning, awaiting answers, bringing impossible hope alive, swirling magnificently, encouraging spark ignited. She dashed once more toward her barred window, squinting against bright rays pouring forth, urging clarity, offering whispers brushing softly against ears wide open, straining towards sounds bubbling underneath, bringing familiarity, teasing forth, stirring deeply yearning minds. Reviving hopes, drifting gently, drawing courage closer, rekindling warmth, longing, awaiting brightly outlined possibilities, ready, emerging, ready, hear them calling, 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 warming pulse quickening, thrumming inside wildly. Reigniting, kindling flames long since dormant, awaiting release, daring bright new beginning, opening doorways, revealing stunning vistas, unfurling engaging chords, leading onward, transcending barriers, holding fast, sparking life boundlessly, murmuring softly, coaxing futures eagerly awaiting. And then there it was, a rhythmic drumming rising loudly in synchronized patterns, echoing unmistakable cries, gathering strength, thrust forth, brimming colors bursting alive, shouldering hopes high, soaring triumphantly, unfurling beautifully ahead. A grand chorus erupted from outside, pulling hearts nearer, kindled dreams, coaxing onward, revealing figures riding forth, coming together, returning, bringing promise, bright loveliness awaited, flourishing, calling forward, each heartbeat rising, embracing newfound journey beginning, reunited joy blooming abundantly, singing sweetly, woven bright threads, destiny shimmering alive, eternally lighting pathways richly adorned, illuminating destinies cherished, warmly weaving reflections, brightly radiating love, flourishing endlessly, reaching toward infinite horizons call. Ing gently where before seemed impossible, boundless, glowing together strong forevermore. And then there it was, a rhythmic drumming rising loudly in synchronized patterns, echoing unmistakable cries, gathering strength, thrust forth, brimming colors, bursting alive, shouldering hopes high, soaring triumphantly, unfurling beautifully ahead. A grand chorus erupted from outside, pulling hearts nearer, kindled dreams, coaxing onward, revealing figures riding forth, coming together, returning, bringing promise, bright loveliness, awaited, flourishing, calling forward, each heartbeat rising, embracing newfound journey beginning, reunited joy blooming abundantly, singing sweetly, woven bright threads, destiny shimmering alive, eternally lighting pathways richly adorned, illuminating destinies cherished, warmly weaving reflections, brightly radiating love, flourishing endlessly, reaching toward infinite horizons call. Ing gently where before seemed impossible, boundless, glowing together strong forevermore. The morning of Isabella's departure dawned cold and gray, the sun hidden behind thick clouds that mirrored the heaviness in her heart. She stood at the barred window of her cell, gazing out over the vast New Mexico landscape that had once felt so vibrant and full of life but now seemed dull and lifeless. The horizon stretched endlessly before her, a distant line separating hope from despair, and with each passing moment, the reality of her impending separation from everything she cherished loomed closer. Isabella wrapped her arms around herself, seeking warmth against the chill that penetrated not only her body but also her soul. Thoughts whirled around her mind like leaves caught in a gust of wind, memories of Kola's laughter, the way his eyes sparkled when he spoke about their future together, and the dreams they had woven under starlit skies. Now those dreams felt like fragile threads unraveling before her very eyes, slipping away into an abyss of uncertainty. She had heard whispers among the mission's residents about the journey ahead, one filled with rigid rules and solemn vows. You must find redemption, they said. A life devoted to prayer. But Isabella could not fathom a life stripped of color, joy, or love. How can they expect me to forget? She thought bitterly as tears threatened to spill over. With each tick of the clock echoing through the silent halls, anxiety clawed at her heart. Every sound amplified her sense of doom. Even the rustle of skirts as nuns passed by felt like a reminder of what she was losing: her freedom, her family, and most importantly, Kola. She pressed her forehead against the cool stone wall, willing herself to remain strong while grappling with mounting hopelessness. Her father would come soon to escort her away. His stern face would be etched with a mixture of satisfaction and authority that made her stomach churn. "This is for your own good," he would say indifferently, unaware of how much pain his decision inflicted on his daughter's heart. As if sensing her turmoil, a gentle breeze swept through the small opening at the window, a whisper of nature reaching out to comfort her in this moment of despair. With gratitude, she inhaled deeply, a carried sense of wildflowers blooming just beyond reach and memories of laughter shared among friends on warm afternoons spent exploring the fields surrounding the mission. And what if Kola is alive? She wondered suddenly, allowing herself to dare dream for a moment longer. Could it be possible? Perhaps he had escaped the raid somehow. Maybe he was out there waiting for her to return and share their lives together as they'd envisioned. Just then came a loud knock at the door. Her father's voice called sharply from outside. "Isabella, prepare yourself. It's time to leave." Panic surged through her veins as she felt trapped between two worlds: the life she knew inside those walls and an uncertain future that awaited beyond them. With trembling hands, she picked up a small piece of cloth Kola had given her during one of their meetings, a simple token that held so many memories within its fibers. "Please let him be safe," she whispered softly into it, clutching it tightly as if it were a talisman capable of warding off all evil. As Isabella stepped away from her window for what felt like the last time, dread settled into every corner of her being. The thought of living without Kola gnawed relentlessly at her spirit. What if this was truly goodbye? With resignation heavy in her heart, she opened the door to face whatever lay ahead, a world devoid of color, without him by her side, ready to usher forth darkness pulling tight against promising horizons. Each step toward her father felt like climbing a steep cliff steeped in shadows, masking paths once bright, beckoning, vibrantly alive. Yet little did she know that outside those mission walls awaited more than just sorrowful farewells. Destiny had something remarkable in store for both hearts entwined across vast distances, still yearning toward one another. Just as they prepared to leave for their journey eastward toward conformity lined with endless constraint, a sudden commotion stirred outside. The rhythmic sound rising steadily, growing louder, filling spaces with urgency, strong, beckoning, embracing warmth coursing through air once thick-laden, desperately edged, alive, igniting flames long since dormant, waiting, poised, ready, awakened, cherished connections reignited, beckoning towards futures vibrantly alive, welcoming journeys unfolding beautifully ahead. Isabella paused mid-step as shouts erupted outside, mingling with drums echoing strong, pulling deeply on threads woven intricately, binding hearts rejoicing towards truths unclaimed. Her pulse quickened as anticipation surged through every fiber within. The certainty sparked wildly, illuminating possibilities, inviting warmth, flourishing, reaching, boldly drawn toward horizon, beckoning brightly, alive, shimmering colors radiating promise, perfectly matched. And then she caught sight. Figures emerging, boldly outlined against gilded light, towering painting canvases sprawling wide, announcing arrival. Unmistakable patterns woven brightly, framing joy, unfurling splendidly. At their head rode none other than Kola himself, alive and proud, riding forth, demanding answers, fiercely claiming love ignited forevermore, daring destinies entwined, calling each heartbeat, racing onward, driving new beginnings brighter. Isabella's breath caught in awe upon recognizing him, cutting through all darkness, casting long shadows aside, igniting flames renewed. Their eyes locked across distance, sparking something deeper, lighting pathways leading ever onward, triumphantly reclaiming joy, breathing life, bold anew, united, destined soar freely together, bright. As Isabella stood at the barred window, her heart heavy with despair and uncertainty, a commotion outside began to ripple through the air. She strained to hear the sounds, growing louder, shouts intertwined with rhythmic drumming, a pulse that sent shivers of excitement racing down her spine. Was it possible? Could hope truly be stirring again within her? She pressed her forehead against the cool stone as she squinted into the distance. The horizon, once a bleak line separating her from everything she longed for, began to shimmer with movement. Figures appeared, their forms growing more defined against the backdrop of the landscape, bold and fierce as they surged toward the mission. Isabella's breath caught in her throat as she recognized them, painted warriors riding gallantly on horseback, their vibrant colors swirling like flames in the sunlight. They were a vision of strength and courage, and among them was a figure who stood out above the rest. Her heart raced as she searched desperately for confirmation, praying with every fiber of her being that it was true. And there he was, Kola, alive and proud, riding forth with determination etched on his face. His long hair flowed behind him like a banner of hope, and his eyes sparkled with defiance. In that instant, all of Isabella's fears washed away as exhilaration surged through her veins. He had come to rescue her. With renewed energy pulsating within her chest, Isabella dashed toward the door, throwing it open wide enough to allow herself a glimpse of freedom. She could hardly contain herself as she stepped into the light of day, her spirit soaring high amidst the chaos unfolding before her. As Kola neared the mission gates leading his band of warriors forward, he met Isabella's gaze across the distance, a connection so profound it felt like an electric current binding them together against all odds. Her heart swelled with love and relief. This was no mere dream. It was reality manifesting before her very eyes. "Isabella!" Kola shouted fiercely, urgency pouring from his voice as he urged his horse closer. "I've come for you. We must leave now." The painted warriors surrounded him like a proud circle of protection, a powerful display that spoke volumes of bravery and unity forged together under shared purpose. Their presence alone cast aside any lingering shadows that had threatened to consume Isabella during her confinement. In that moment, all doubts vanished. She belonged here among these warriors who embodied everything she had fought for. Their strength echoed Kola's spirit, which had resonated within her own heart since their first meeting beneath starlit skies. But still, was she truly free? Could this be real after all she had endured? Yes. Isabella called back confidently, now feeling emboldened by unwavering love-igniting flames deep inside simmering brightly at last. She rushed forward toward Kola but paused briefly, glancing back at the mission, a place filled with memories both bitter and sweet but overshadowed by chains binding tightly, promising futures extinguished dimly, awaiting illuminating destinies calling forth. "Come with me," Kola urged again, extending his hand toward her invitingly, ensuring completion shared amidst vibrant journeys ahead where two hearts united would conquer anything waiting just beyond those walls left behind forevermore. With one final glance back at everything once held dear, intertwined with pain transforming beautifully into acceptance, guiding onward towards blooming horizons, alive, vibrant, flourishing, abounded, beckoning, joy ignited where love prevailed. All fears melted away, replaced only by certainty, nestled firmly within trusting embrace, resurrected in passion, unhindered, radiating warmth, magnetic, drew nearer, kismet entwined together, boundlessly soared bright. Kola reached down, taking hold of her hand, firmly anchoring destiny course through each heartbeat, rising higher than ever, drawing them nearer, igniting flames of flame, reaching toward endless possibilities painted brightly ahead. Together they charged forth. The warriors echoed cheers amidst clanging hooves, pounding rhythmically beneath gallant banners, flying valiantly against winds, urging passionately onward, forging paths between realms, embracing adventure, bursting alive, welcoming jubilant new beginnings, woven beautifully unbroken, standing strong, beating fate here, united, facing unknown boldly, knowing together anything could be achieved, triumphantly living. And so they charged forward, two souls entwined against all odds, boundlessly exploring infinite horizons, laced vibrantly, calling softly, invigorating life, embracing futures, entwined joyously forevermore, bearing witness alongside triumphs. Their story unfurling, destined, weave brilliantly, illuminating hope, shared eternally, dancing freely, wild upon landscapes stretching endlessly ahead, beckoning glorious tales yet untold, woven lovingly, crafting legacies born anew. As Kola reined in his horse before the mission gates, the air around him crackled with a mix of energy and urgency. The painted warriors who rode with him formed a protective circle, their faces adorned with vibrant designs that spoke of bravery and resilience. Kola looked every bit the fearless leader, embodying strength and passion that ignited hope in Isabella's heart. She had waited for this moment, and now the time for action had arrived. "Isabella," he called out, his voice resonating through the tumultuous atmosphere. "You do not belong here. Come to me. Let us leave this place behind." His words echoed powerfully, challenging not only her own fears but also the societal norms that had long dictated her life. Isabella felt a rush of exhilaration mixed with apprehension as she stepped closer to him, heart pounding fiercely against her ribs. Could they really defy everything they have been taught about love and loyalty? Please, Kola continued, sensing her hesitation. This life is not meant for you. Your spirit yearns for freedom, and I will fight for it. His eyes bore into hers, filled with an unwavering determination that melted away any doubts lingering in her mind. But even as she felt drawn to him, his spirit shining like a beacon amidst storm clouds, Isabella couldn't help but glance back at the mission behind her. The stone walls that had confined her felt heavy now, but were also filled with memories both bitter and sweet. There were echoes of laughter from friends who once filled the hallways and the stern face of her father whose influence loomed heavily over her decisions. No, she whispered under her breath, shaking off that weight as she turned back to Kola. You have no idea what my father will say or do. He will never let me go. Kola's jaw tightened at the mention of her father, but he remained resolute. Let me handle him. Love cannot be shackled by fear. Together, we can break free from these chains. The words hung in the air for a moment before Isabella found courage washing over her like a warm tide. Kola's fierce conviction ignited something powerful within her, a flame that pushed aside doubt while illuminating her path forward. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the mission, her father standing defiantly at the gate, arms crossed tightly against his chest as he stared incredulously at the scene unfolding before him. You dare to come here? He thundered at Kola, voice booming like thunder across open plains. Kola met his gaze unflinchingly, chest rising with pride as he stood firmly in place beside Isabella. I have come to take Isabella away from you, he declared boldly, voice steady despite the underlying tension that hummed between them. Isabella's heart raced as she witnessed this powerful confrontation unfold, two forces clashing in a battle that went beyond mere words and into realms of love, authority, and destiny. Do you think you can just waltz in here and take my daughter? Her father spat back bitterly. She is spiritually ill because of you. You have led her astray. Love is not illness, Kola shot back passionately. It is a force stronger than any walls you build around her. His voice rang true through the air filled with purpose. The warriors shifted behind Kola, their presence amplifying his strength as they stood watchful and fierce, a reminder to everyone present that they would stand together against injustice. Isabella felt a swell of emotion wash over her. This confrontation was not just about her escape from confinement, but also about defying societal norms that sought to keep them apart. The prejudices rooted deep within families and communities that dictated who deserved love and who did not. I choose my own path, Isabella shouted suddenly, breaking through the tension enveloping them all. The declaration rang clear, a commitment made not only to herself but also to Kola standing strong beside her. Her father's face twisted in disbelief, shock rippling through him as if struck by lightning. Isabella, he exclaimed, voice trembling with anger and disbelief. Yes, I choose love. I choose freedom. She took a step away from the confines of expectation toward Kola's unwavering strength, his hand outstretched ready to embrace all futures awaiting them beyond those walls. With that declaration, a shift occurred. A wave of energy surged through the air as if reality itself bent to their will, forging pathways brighter, lifting spirits soaring high against adversity, refusing to yield. Kola stepped forward confidently. Together they faced each other while standing tall against opposition, unyielding hearts entwined fiercely, shouting triumphantly against every voice raised in disapproval, leading onward towards infinite horizons, beckoning beautifully filled bright lives waiting patiently. Embracing everything new, awaiting discovery together, illuminating forever, brightly sparkling radiance shared, deeply cherished against all odds. And so they stood brave among warriors assembled, proud, facing challenges ahead, united, calling forth destinies woven beautifully intertwined, drawing forth strength, binding hearts together, forging pathways brightly painted, alive, endlessly inviting journeys bursting vibrantly forth, welcoming exhilarating futures entwined, joyously shared, lovingly embracing dreams crafted anew. The air buzzed with anticipation as Isabella and Kola stood at the threshold of a new beginning, their hearts pounding in unison. The painted warriors encircled them, forming a protective barrier against the outside world. It was a moment brimming with possibility, a reckoning that promised to challenge not only their individual fates but also the societal norms that had long dictated their lives. With Kola's hand firmly grasping hers, Isabella felt a surge of strength coursing through her veins. She looked out toward her father, who stood rigidly at a distance, his face taut with anger and disbelief. His presence loomed large, representing years of expectation and cultural constraints that had sought to keep them apart. Yet this moment felt different, It felt powerful. "I have come to demand her freedom." Kola spoke loudly, his voice resonating with confidence that echoed across the open space before them. "Love cannot be shackled by fear. Isabella deserves to live freely. Together we can forge our own path." The warriors shifted behind him, pride flashing in their eyes as they raised their heads high in solidarity. They were not merely there for battle, they stood united in resistance against a system that sought to confine them within predetermined roles. An electric energy pulsed among them, affirming their collective strength and purpose. Isabella's heart swelled as she witnessed this remarkable show of bravery. This was about more than just her escape. It was an uprising against centuries of prejudice, an assertion that love knows no boundaries. Her voice rose to meet Kola's charge. "I choose to stand with him," she declared firmly, her words echoing like a battle cry against the confines of expectation. Isabella turned to face her father, who seemed frozen in disbelief at this unexpected rebellion unfolding before him. "You cannot control my heart. I will not accept a life devoid of love and adventure simply because it makes you uncomfortable." His nostrils flared as anger washed over him, but Isabella noticed something else, a flicker of doubt in his expression as he processed the power of her defiance. The walls he had constructed around her began to tremble under the weight of their confrontation. "What you're doing is wrong," he shouted, voice thick with frustration. "This is not the way. You are." "Am I what?" Isabella interrupted fiercely, stepping forward with newfound clarity and purpose. "I am not the child you once knew. I have found love, real love, with Kola, and I refuse to let it go." Kola's grip tightened around her hand, grounding her as she faced the man who had tried to dictate every aspect of her life. This was a pivotal moment, not just for her but for both cultures represented there at the mission gates, a combining of two worlds seeking understanding instead of conflict. "Your anger comes from fear," Kola added calmly but firmly as he held Isabella's gaze steady. "Fear of what you do not fully understand, the beauty in our differences rather than the hatred bred from ignorance." At those words, the assembled warriors nodded in agreement, each one a testament to resilience forged through shared experiences and struggles, reminders that strength lies not merely in conformity but also in embracing diversity. Isabella saw the tension slowly ebb away from her father's shoulders. Perhaps he was beginning to see that controlling her would only deepen the chasm between them further. Within those exchanged glances lay an opportunity for reconciliation, a chance to bridge divides instead of widening them through persistent intolerance. As if sensing his resolution faltering beneath the weight of truth laid bare before him, Kola implored with earnestness glittering brightly through determination illuminating paths previously shrouded in shadow. "Let us walk together. Let our love become a symbol. One that transcends limitations set upon us by society." Isabella felt hope ignite like fireflies dancing under twilight skies, the realization dawning bright that they did not have to live forever imprisoned by those expectations, but could instead rise above stronger, united weaving colorful threads into tapestries alive, vibrant, promising futures only dreamed brightly, hoped, yet awaited resolutely. The atmosphere shifted further as curiosity began swirling through the crowd surrounding them. Memories exchanged, enveloping hearts willing step forth, acknowledging human stories, add depth reality past, revealing reflections, finding new meaning born, following paths bound together, lovingly intertwined, breaking barriers, defying futures, yearning wanted pathways, stretching wide, welcoming opportunities beckon, allow choices embraced, filled dreams rekindled. "Can you truly give your blessing?" Isabella asked softly, now feeling fragile, yet strengthened anew, urging any remnants left arising gentle inside, hardly able contain emotional charge, swirling gently, lingering, desperately stitched, lovingly, enduring challenges, doorways promised, now unveiled, showing hopes awaiting reach together, facing future bright anew. After what felt like an eternity-laden, uncertainty-laced redemption, yummy shimmering before possibility, unexplored awaited ahead, weaving stories filled, laughter, risen joy, shared boldly, illuminating brightly, forging paths toward tomorrow, calling sweetly, voicing acceptance, enlightening hearts, daring ventures, long cherished, proud histories, unfolding, growing brighter, raced vibrantly towards horizons, painted alive, sparkling, evermore dazzling brilliance lay awaiting, nurtured, caring hands lifting. Gently raising, soaring, finally announcing, liberated, long-fought triumphs, joyous, hearty explosion, well-deserved, internal, stretchy, hopeful gatherings, awaiting, wondrous, impossible, realized, achieved, brilliantly surpassed, forever strong, family blossoms, enlivened, buoyant. surrounded radiant sunsets inviting you. Renee's welcomed rejoicing, entirely celebrating unity, crafted together, reaching forward, forever brightly woven, bringing destiny, unfurling beautifully alive. After what felt like an eternity-laden, uncertainty-laced redemption, yummy shimmering before possibility, unexplored awaited ahead, weaving stories filled, laughter, risen joy, shared boldly, illuminating brightly, forging paths toward tomorrow, calling sweetly, voicing acceptance, enlightening hearts, daring ventures, long cherished, proud histories, unfolding, growing brighter, raced vibrantly towards horizons, painted alive, sparkling, evermore dazzling brilliance lay awaiting, nurtured, caring hands lifting, gently raising, soaring, finally announcing, liberated, long-fought triumphs, joyous, hearty explosion, well-deserved, internal, stretchy, hopeful gatherings, awaiting, wondrous, impossible, realized, achieved, brilliantly surpassed, forever strong, family blossoms, enlivened, buoyant, surrounded, radiant sunsets inviting you. Renee's welcomed rejoicing, entirely celebrating unity, crafted together, reaching forward, forever brightly woven, bringing destiny, unfurling beautifully alive.